And I believe at that point, like, it's righteous at that point because it's like, okay, you're not quick to get angry. And that's a good thing, like the Bible mentions, like, don't be around hotheads. So, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
And I would agree. I am more prone to healthy relationships because if I see red flags
Uh huh. Uh huh.
right off the back, again, not saying that I got it all together because I got my mess. I'm jacked up. I got issues. We all got issues.
Just admitted it, like.
I mean, just admit it.
Yeah.
Just
Mm-hmm.
show the person who you are. And then at that juncture, um, you're giving the other person the option and the choice to continue to engage with you or not. And so when we enter into relationships with the facade, trying to be something else that we're not because we're trying to get this relationship, we're taking away the other person's choice. And so, I have no problem admitting this. When my wife and I got together, there were some things in my past or certain lifestyle choices that I was making that I had to be real and upfront with her in the beginning and say, yes, I have done this. I'm doing that. I'm talking to that person, blah, blah, blah. The ball is in your court now. I have given you the choice to continue to rock with me or not. Because I want to be transparent. She was transparent as well. Okay, look, I got this issue. I'm dealing with that, blah, 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 blah. Can you rock with that? Can we grow together?
You feel like, they would be stumbling blocks, what you revealed to her? Did you feel like they would be like stumbling blocks if she didn't know?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because one of the things that we always talk about is this difference between love and in love. Loving someone at the end of the day has nothing to do with how you feel.
This is interesting. That's interesting.
Because love is an action word. And I talk about that in chapter 3. Love is a daily decision and response. Does that mean I like you every day? Nope. Does that mean she like me every day? No, because we got the tendency to piss each other off.
That is facts. I see.
But at the end of the day, going back to the one of the original questions that we were talking about, number one, what is our perception of love? Because there's 3 different styles of love, and I won't go, into the whole etymology according to the Bible and Scripture and all that. But there's a friendship love, there's a romantic love, and then there's this love that we talk about, agape, meaning going back to, am I esteeming you over myself? Am I out for your well-being? And so between me and her, when we first got together, was I in love? No. I was infatuated with who she was. There was a lust factor.
Yeah, always.
There was an intriguing factor, an intellectual attraction, because of her intelligence and all that. I was attracted to her brain, not just her physicality. But as time goes on, and you start to unpeel the layers like an onion on somebody, and you start to see them for who they really are you willing on a daily basis to stick in and say, I understand that you got these issues and flaws, but I choose to love you. I choose to put your well-being as a priority. So when going back to what you were saying, in relationships, if one person coming in with a selfish mindset and the other one is coming in with a selfless mindset, that's not going to work. But if we both are coming into the relationship, or even as friends, if you're coming in D, I'm focused on Eric's well-being, and me, Eric, I'm focused on D's well-being, then how can either one of us lack in the friendship if we both are constantly having each other's best interest at heart? The disconnect or the breakdown is going to happen if one of us start to become selfish.
Yeah, start to pull back.
Start to pull back and start thinking about us, our own self, what I want, what I'm not getting, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what am I bringing to the table, which is, I know that's a taboo
No.
statement of what people want to hear. Why you keep asking me what I bring to the table?
What about you?
So that's the whole root context of me thinking when we talk about this whole love thing, and it's not a feeling. Yeah, emotions play a part in it, but we both know if you allow your emotions to guide your decision making, you gonna end. So that's why I got another problem when people talk about just follow your heart.
But you know what? I was thinking about that earlier because
your heart is deceptive.
It's deceptive, and the Bible even talks about this. It's deceptive. Like,
your heart is deceptive.
Man, people say bro. A lot of what people say contradicts itself.
Yes.
Just follow your heart. Like, just stuff like that. Just follow your heart. Like, don't settle. Be comfortable where you're at. Like, it's just no.
So if I followed my heart on a daily basis, that wouldn't be a good thing.
Yeah. No.
Because when we talk about the heart, the word heart is translated towards your motivations. Like, what motivates you to do X, Y, and Z. And a lot of times, our motivations are not coming from a pure and righteous place. It's coming from a selfish place. So if I'm just going off of my emotions and my heart, and I'm not taking into consideration logic and rationality, because that's what God created man, that distincts us from animals, creating us in his likeness and image, as his image bearers. We have some of the finite attributes of God, of rationality, being able to think, process, all those sorts of things. And so that's why we need to process things and not just go after the pride of life, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the heart. So so that's why love is a daily choice and a decision. Do we think Jesus felt like going to the cross? He ain't feel like it.
No.
But it was an action because of love. He said, I choose, because I know the benefit of my suffering will bring you eternal joy. So when we talk about loving each other, are we willing to suffer for the other person to be better?
Unselfish.
And that's what people don't want to do in relationships. I don't want to suffer on account of making you better.
You say people don't want to do that?
People don't want to do it. Because suffering, it could mean compromising. It could mean doing something that I don't want to do that's going to make you better. It could mean supporting you over something that I want to do. It could be sacrificing. That's the whole crux of it, sacrifice.
Yeah, sacrifice.
We don't want to sacrifice.
I mean, I thought that was but that is necessary in a relationship. And, I guess, as far as in the past, I'd say 1990s, 80s, we could go back, but I thought, I would think it's more common. It's more common. But is that is it changing now? Because that's a necessary component. And I made the mistake. I don't want to get too off topic, but I made the mistake of expecting commitment, so early, so I've learned from that. People are not gonna sacrifice if they're not if you're not boyfriend and girlfriend. They're not gonna say I used to think that, but I learned my lesson, and so I know that it is very necessary, like to pull through, maintain relationships in the long run. And then, like, to hear you say that, like, is that really how it is now?
I can't tell you how many couples I have counseled that the root context of their issue was the unwillingness to sacrifice, the unwillingness to effectively communicate. There's a difference between communicating and effectively communicating.
Okay.
And they entered the relationship with unrealistic expectations. Those are the top three things that I've seen: communication, unrealistic expectations, and the unwillingness to sacrifice for the benefit of the other person, because it all roots down to one word: selfishness.
Oh, that's definitely a recipe for disaster. But I would really like to hear, the difference between communicating and effectively communicating. Yeah, explain that.
That's chapter 6. that's chapter 6 in the book. Let me see. Let's go there real quick. So a lot of times, I'm gonna go to the questions here in the back. At the end of each chapter, I do some self-reflecting, probing questions.
Okay.
So when people are involved in conversation with one another, whether it's just a general conversation for dialogue or if it's a heated argument. So some of the questions I pose here is, what message do I want to communicate? How can I say this in a way that it will be received effectively? Do I need to write it or say it? What is the best time to have this conversation? Have I evaluated my perception first, and am I approaching the situation with a clear head? Secondly, will I intentionally be fair during the conversation, and will I show grace? And the overarching quote from the chapter is, the effect of unproductive communication is lack of buy-in of the relationship, which stifles growth, trust, openness, and vulnerability.
The lack of what in the relationship?
The effect of unproductive communication is lack of buy-in in a relationship. Meaning, going back to what you were saying earlier, am I willing to hear what this person has to say? And it all is rooted in, do I even value you? Because if we don't value something, we're not going to give it the time of day.
Right. Most definitely.
So I'm not going to listen to what you have to say if I feel as if you're beneath me. Or if you're not on my level. Or you don't bring the same stuff to the table. Or you don't make as much money as I do. Or you don't have the house. You don't have the car. You don't have this. You're not 5'10", dark skin with muscles, and as women would say, or if the guys, if you ain't got the banging body and you this and you that and you move some type of way, do we value one another? And that is the crux of when we enter into a conversation, me and you. The only way this conversation would even work right now is if I thought you had value to bring to the table for the conversation.
Right.
If I didn't think there was nothing valuable about you, I wouldn't even ask you to come on the show. So that's the root when we're talking about effective communication. Do I value you enough to alter and change how I approach the conversation? Will I shut up? Will I listen? Will I... not to say do I agree with your position or your stance, but am I willing to at least hear it and acknowledge your stance? We ain't got to agree.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, most definitely. But, to be able to, listen and consider where you're coming from. Consider where you're coming from.
Bingo.
Yeah, that's an example. And, I I like to, I treat a lot of people the same. Even the kind of students that I deal with, I treat a lot of people the same. I talk to like students as I talk to adults, you know. Um, yeah, I like listening because I like to learn. So I like to see where other people are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I notice, like there's been like a few interactions where in my life where I'd say like, okay, I can tell like this person doesn't value what I have to say because like people will show you they may not say it, they won't say it, I'll even get it, they won't say it, but their action says it all. Like they'll interrupt you or they'll talk over you, you know, because they don't. That's a sign that they don't value what you have to say. They'll interrupt you or they'll talk over you, or they just won't even listen. And I know a lot of us like we listen to respond. Yeah, like, but yeah, that's not always a sign of like, that's not always a sign of them us not valuing what each other has to say. It's just a habit that we do. But yeah, like you'll see that a lot more often in a person that doesn't value what you have to say, and sometimes. It could be like your fault. If you have a habit of like, just talking to talk, then yeah, I get that. But if you don't, then yes, it is definitely you're dealing with a person that doesn't respect what you have to say, or thinks higher of themselves than you. Because it's not people that think higher of themselves, you know, yes, for whatever reason. For whatever reason, they'll do something like that. So, man, and I've just learned to like just cut off, just cut off the conversation. Just do what you can exit that conversation in a peaceful manner, and keep about your business. Because at the end of the day, it's about your well-being, and at least the people that value you. It's about making sure that both of y'all are healthy. Both of y'all have a good well-being. So yeah,
and that actually aligns with chapter 1, self-examination. And some of the questions I posed there is, does the perception you have about yourself align with reality? Going back to what you were just saying, do I value myself, or do I place a value on myself higher than everybody else, or is it even reality of what I think about myself? Will the description of yourself agree with what others will say about you in relationships that you're in? If I said one thing about me, if I did a survey, will they say the same thing?
Same thing, or some along the same line. Yeah.
When was the last time you genuinely took an honest inventory of what influences your thinking, decision making, and relationship choices? Is it easy for you to see flaws in others and difficult to see them in yourself? Evaluate your 3 closest relationships. How healthy are they, or are they toxic? Does your contribution in relationships add value to the other person, or we're just constantly taking from the other person? How did you create your standards in a relationship? And do you exhibit the relational standard you require of others? So if we expect a person to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, do we even meet the standard of what we're requiring of other people? And a lot of people, the answer is flat out no.
Yes, they'll think they are, but no.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
And then the quote, as I was saying earlier, that is just who I am. This mindset of thinking is the complete and utter cop-out and an unwillingness to evaluate who you are. Better yet, it is an outright abandonment of individual responsibility and personal accountability.
So, you being a counselor, how often do you hear that statement? That's just what. Yo.
I hear it during the counseling sessions. I hear it at work.
At work too?
Oh my God!
Ooh.
Especially in the past, places that I've worked, because I've worked in healthcare. I've worked in, been in the military, worked in, higher education, K-12 schools, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot tell you how many people I have run into that says, if I, try to call them out on something like, well, that's just who I am.
Deal with it.
You just gonna have to deal with it. But at the same token, I flip it and I say, well, that's just who I am. Why do I have to accept you, but you can't accept me?
Mm.
And they can't answer the question.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that's not. How is that not the same thing? You're expecting other people to change to accommodate you in the relationship, but you're not willing to make the same concession for somebody else. Again, that goes back to the root context of, do you even value the people you are in relationship with, or do you just see them as a commodity or a utility to get what you want out of the relationship? Mm-hmm. Value. That's the root of it all. Do we value people?
Value. Man, these are some good questions. Like I can tell you've done a lot of introspection, bro. Cause that question is that question right there, man.
Even with our kids, man, that has shaped my thinking with my boys. Like a 19-year-old and 13. He'll be 14 in August. Do we value our kids? Because I grew up in the South, Mississippi, so it's beat you down. Don't say nothing about it. Don't even explain to you why you got beat. Or do as I say just because I said so and not as I do. And the hardest thing for people to ever do, even on our jobs today, is to explain the why. We don't want to take time to do that. And so do I really value my children if I say I'm their parent and I never want to listen to what they have to say? If I never want to take the time to explain, if I never want to take the time to see their point of view in their world and their frame of thinking, mm-hmm. Am I willing to come down to that level to figure out what's going on? How can we meet? I'm not a perfect father, but how can I be the perfect father for you of what you need right now? So again, do we even value our kids to listen to what they have to say? Do our parents value us to listen to what we have to say to them as a parent? Like, when you did this when I was a kid, you jacked me up. Yeah. You rocked my world. But you don't want to hear that mm-hmm. because now you flip the script to make it about you and not my feelings. And that's chapter 8. How dare you make my feelings all about you?
Oh my gosh, man. This is bringing back memory, and then it's like, I'm just talking to a brick wall. That's exactly how.
Yes, that's where that comes from.
I'm talking to a brick wall, bro. So you don't even want
to
do this. Yeah, you don't even want to do it no more. You don't even want to talk no more.
Because they don't value you.
And you know what? I will give the younger generation. Because I feel like, well, actually, I see this the younger generation, they do have, I would say that they do have a better relationship with their parents. Parents nowadays, they're actually considering.
Yeah, we're considering.
Right.
Yes.
They're considering what their kids and listening what their kids have to say.
Yes.
And I see that it's gotten better now mm-hmm. as opposed to in the past. And yeah, my parents. Definitely a good example. Definitely a good example.
That's what I'm saying, and you don't get out my face.
My parents, and I'm not trying to put I'm not trying to put a stereotype out there, but I will say this: my parents grew up, and they grew up in a country in Africa, so they have that authoritarian kind of ruling.
I am the authority.
Yes, I am the law.
Yes,
yes.
Judge and jury.
Mm-hmm. So it's what I say goes. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear it. Stuff like that.
Stop talking back.
So right. So it's that's what we grew up with most of our lives.
Yeah.
And I say most of our lives because I noticed in the past few years that they and though they're older that they're starting, in the past few years, they've been starting to listen. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. It's now a lot of us are older. We needed that when we were younger. Because it's a lot of, gosh, we carry a lot of things with us as a child.
Yes, sir.
And it really helps or harms future interactions. And that's the thing.
Man.
That's the thing.
Man.
If we felt like we were being listened to, we would have, relationships could be like healthier now. And that's the thing. We need it, yes, it's late, better late than never, but, it's kind of like too late. It's like, because we're old enough to like, that we're independent now.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well,
I think that goes, oh man, that goes into chapter 2. I told you we weren't gonna stick to just one chapter. Because it's all over every chapter, and everything, and that goes in the vein of creating the safe place and safe space to be able to have those conversations. If you don't feel safe in the conversation, you're not gonna open up.
Right.
And if you don't have the space to do it, you're not gonna open up. And that's one of the main things. Like even at work, when they talk about, these are the 4 walls of freedom. This is a safe place and a safe space to talk. Like, no, you just can't say that. You have to cultivate that type of environment. And it starts with the small things that builds up. So now me and my wife can talk about literally anything, because 16 years ago we started with the small stuff just to see how each other would take it or respond to it. Because if we responded the wrong way, it will shut either one of us down. Like, okay, it's going to be a minute before I talk about that again. So, to your point with us as kids, because we were shut down, it's hard to talk about stuff now with our parents.
Yes.
Because that foundation has not been set to have that type of safe space and place to be able to open up and talk freely. Because number one, you haven't cultivated that environment.
Right.
We don't have that set precedence, and I don't even know if you value what I have to say, because you didn't value it back then. So why would I believe that you will value it now?
Yeah, no. It's like, because you're always gonna be, gosh, like, you're the son, you're the daughter.
Yeah.
So it's not like anything changed. Like you could go out to someone else, one of your friends, and things change. Like in like status or social hierarchy, stuff like that. But it's like with parents and kids, it's like nothing really changes.
Yeah.
Like you're always in the space that you're all right. So it's like.
You ain't gonna disrespect me. I'm not disrespecting, but you have to realize I'm an adult too. I'm an adult now.
Yeah. It's like,
you can't whoop me no more. I'm
gonna put these hands on you.
Yeah, like, no, we're not doing this. Like,
But, oh man. And what, I'll even like put this out there, because what you said earlier, man, it really is an example. Me and my mother, okay? Yeah, like what I said before, like it's like talking with a brick wall. And, like a lot of like my siblings, me and my siblings, like we have felt that most of the time. For both my parents, but mostly like my mom, like, we can't get through like, what we're trying to say is because it's like, she has like a response, and the response is like always justified, but yet you got multiple people because it's like, we are siblings, bro. So it's like, no matter how many times or like no matter how many people are saying it, you're still like trying to justify it, or you don't even like try to change it, because like they say, you can't teach an old no guy new tricks. Or like, older people, like they're stuck in their ways. So
that's
it's like,
just who I am.
They're stuck in their ways. And so, but like I said before, like, with my parents, like they're starting to listen. And they're moving very slow. But, at least it's opened up, like that environment that, we can, start talking, like, start sharing, like, hey, this was, this is the reason why, I'm mad, or like I haven't been talking, and, because you did this. As far as before, we just had to like take it. We just took it. We were cried about it. Had to get over, find some type of way to like get over it, and but we still carried it with us. Because I'm sure like if I asked you, you could bring up like
yes, sir.
a lot of situations.
Yes,
where
sir.
you just had to where they were wrong. They probably did something that was wrong, but yet you had to go along with it. So it's just, that's just life. But at the same time, because it carries on with you and you want a better relationship with your kids, you're like, okay, I'm not gonna be that way with your
yes.
I'm not gonna be that way with my kids.
Yeah.
And definitely, I'm like that as well. Like I'm not gonna be that way with my kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, we learn from our parents, and in ways that they don't even like consider. But parents can learn a lot from kids as well, and that's the thing. Like parents like that don't listen to what their kids have to say. You can learn from your kids.
Yes.
Like that's the thing.
Yes.
You want to have like a good relationship with your kids. It's not like just giving in to everything that they say, but it's having that a good relationship with your kids.